And we are on. We say all praises be to the Creator, all power to His people. In the name of Yahshua, the Black Revolutionary Messiah, I greet you, my brothers and sisters, in the spirit of truth and the words of peace. Shalom Aleichem. Giving a special salute to the Black Messiahs. Our motto is stop waiting for a Savior and be one. Stop waiting for a Savior and be one. Just want to give a review, brief review, of the documentary that aired tonight, Durham Under Fire, dealing with the gun violence in Durham, North Carolina, on WRAL. I actually thought the documentary was pretty good, actually. And I think it's going to do a lot of, create a lot of dialogue. I think it's good that we now have transparency, which we were asking for the whole time. I think that when you put the cards on the table and everybody says, okay, this is what I stand for, this is my solution, this is my philosophy, people can look back at that 20, 30, 40 years. You know, our great-grandchildren will be looking at that saying, okay, when all this shooting and killing was going on in Durham, this is the position this person held. So history is going to judge. History is going to judge where we stood in this hour of chaos. Did want to mention a couple of things. One thing they left out, and of my part, as far as solutions, I want to deal with that first and foremost. As far as solutions, they did ask me about what my solution was, and I told them that my solution was giving out free Black history books in the community, passing out free Black history books, standing on the corner teaching about Black history. But you know, in a 30-minute documentary, they interviewed me for about an hour. You know, they had to cut it, so I guess that part got left on the editing table. But that is my solution. That is my solution for the last 17, 18 years. Going out in the community and handing out Black history books. Handing out Black history books and teaching about Black history. That's my solution. I do believe that knowledge is power. I still believe that. I believe that the books that inspired me into activism are still capable of inspiring other young Black men to become activists, to become just all-around positive people. I think that knowledge is power. And I can't say it any more plainer than that. Knowledge is power. So that is the solution I gave, but it didn't make the cut, but I just wanted to put that out there. Also, my philosophy when it comes to meeting with gangs or so-called gangs or OGs or street callers. I believe in empowering the streets. You know, I salute the work of those who have done it in the past, like the Black Panthers. You know, if you're giving the streets political education, making them revolutionaries, making them, you know, teaching them about George Jackson, Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I'm all for having them read Eldridge Cleaver, Soul on Ice, and George Jackson, Blood in My Eye, and Revolutionary Suicide by Huey P. Newton. They were effective in recruiting gang members and turning them into revolutionaries. I'm all for that. But other than that, I think sometimes we over-glamorize. I think that street knowledge is a myth. Read this book, The Psychopathic Racial Personality by Dr. Bobby E. Wright. He talks about the myth of street knowledge and how street knowledge is really a myth that leads to the menticide of our community, the mental genocide of our community. Dr. Bobby E. Wright and the Psychopathic Racial Personality. I don't think that you have to have a background in being a gang member to reach the streets. I think that if you look historically It's been groups like, uh, you can go all the way back to Marcus Garvey in the UNIA, who organized up to 11 million black people. Some people say 2 million, some people say 11 million, somewhere between that figure, depending on who you talk to. I think that if you look at the Nation of Islam, the work they did, if you look at various hip-hop movements, the Stop the Violence movement in hip-hop, if you look at groups like Public Enemy and X-Clan and the hip-hop groups, if you look at the Million Man March, if you look at just various African-centered approaches, they have worked. They have actually worked. Teaching the community about black history, that has actually worked to stop the violence over and over again. Because it's controversial, a lot of people don't want to go that route. You know, we don't want to talk about black history because it's going to make them militant. And frankly, many people probably would rather deal with gangs than deal with revolutionaries. In the history of this country, they have shown that they rather deal with gangs than revolutionaries. But to give a more precise argument about the violence in our community, specifically when it's talking about the black community, I suggest this book, Black on Black Violence by Dr. Amos Wilson, The Psychopathic Racial Personality, again, by Dr. Bobby E. Wright. And we also have to deal with the prison industrial complex. Because like it or not, there are millions of people, millions and billions, billions and trillions of dollars being made off the incarceration of black men. So this book, The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, read this book, study this book, because when you're dealing with the prison industrial complex, the social industrial complex, there are trillions of dollars being made from people who want to keep the black community in the same condition that it is. And lastly, in Durham, we cannot ignore the effect that urban renewal, had on Durham still today. Back as early as the late 50s, early 60s, they predicted that if you tore down, stole people's houses, which we call, it's just like a land grab. If you take people's houses and you economic ethnic cleansing, that's what we call it, economic ethnic cleansing. If you take people's houses and you shove them into public housing and you neglect those areas, of course, over time, you're going to have crime because you created those conditions. So if you look back, search the articles about urban renewal, there were people predicting 50 years ago that what they did with urban renewal was criminal, and it was going to produce the very conditions that we experience today. So if you want to look at the article that the Indie Week wrote, that they referenced in the documentary, is online. If you want to see my full video instead of that little clip, it's online on YouTube, Black Messiah Movement YouTube channel. So as always, we leave you with the Black Messiah motto: stop waiting for a savior and be one. Shalom.